Okay. Welcome everyone to our webinar on data analytics with Power BI. And I'm going to be introducing our speaker today. There are three of us that do this website, Accounting as Analytics. And the three of us are myself with Wendy Tietz at Kent State, then Jennifer Canis at University of South Florida, and Tracy Miller-Nobles at Austin Community College. And I want to remind you that during the webinar, you can use the Q&A box for questions. We will answer questions at the end. And I'm going to give it over to Tracy.
Great, thank you. Thanks a lot, Wendy. I also want to let everybody know that our presentation recording and the slides will be available on the link that's listed on your screen right now, tiny.cc AIA Power BI. You'll have to type that into your email browser, but that will be where you can access the slides for the presentation today. As Wendy shared, these cases are developed by myself, Wendy Tietz, and Jennifer Canis. And today we're specifically going to be talking about data analytics, what data analytics is, and how it differs from big data. We'll talk about three possible software solutions to utilize data analytics in your accounting courses. And then our webinar today concentrates on specifically using Power BI and the cases that we've developed for Power BI. So let's get started. The first thing is, what is data analytics? We've all been hearing about data analytics lately, and it is a super hot topic. So data analytics is simply the process of inspecting, cleansing, transforming, and modeling data with the goal of being able to discover information, make conclusions, and help with decision making. And in the cases we're going to share with you today, we have the students do some cleaning of the data, and we absolutely have them do transforming and modeling of the data. They do the modeling of the data in Power BI, and then they're able to answer questions and also to make suggestions for future decisions. Now, the three most common forms of analytics are descriptive, which describes what has happened in a situation. Predictive, this doesn't sound any different than what we talk about in accounting class, does it? Helps make future decisions based on previous trends. And then prescriptive, helps determine what a business should do given a unique situation. So the question some of you may be asking is, well, how does data analytics differ from big data? And when I first got started in this area, I just assumed it was all the same thing. But Wendy was quick to point out that big data is very different than data analytics. Big data refers to data sets that are too large and complex for existing systems to be able to handle. So while we do data analytics in our cases and in introductory accounting, we do not handle big data. And the reason why is because simply our computers and our students' computers could not handle the type of big data and the data sets that come along with that. So when we think about big data, three important V's to remember is volume, velocity, and variety. So volume relates to the size of the data. And I have Airbnb up as an example because they have huge volumes of data that allow them to be able to process how much each of their rental units should be rented out for, where they need more rental units, and they do that by the amount of size and volume of the data that they have. Next, we have velocity. Velocity is the speed of data processing. So Walmart's a great example of this. They have the ability to process data instantaneously. They can process it so fast that they know exactly where their inventory is at any point in time. And then lastly, variety, the different types of data. So Dickey's Barbecue, a Austin-based, Texas-based company, is a good example of this. They have a data processing system that not only tracks inventory, but also keeps track of all of their customer needs. And all of the customer data. So when they're getting low on when they have excess inventory at one of their stores, they're able to send out a text message to their customers saying, hey, come pick up your ribs at the Austin location. We are discounting them $5 off. And that's because of the different types of data that the company is able to capture. So how does data analytics affect accounting? And on this next couple of slides, I'm going to show you some examples of dashboards that relate to different types of accounting areas. So the first one is auditing. So how could data analytics help with auditing? Well, it would allow auditors to be able to test complete sets of data rather than just samples. It could aid in risk assessments through the use of dashboards, and it could provide audit evidence through comprehensive analysis. So here's a dashboard that I found on the Power BI website. This is a dashboard that's related to delinquent timesheet entries, and it's identifying which of the employees have submitted delinquent timesheets and who's the most notorious for submitting those delinquent timesheets. Here's another example. This is a school district. This is related to inputting incorrect data into the system and which districts had the most incorrect data entered. So another example of the power of the dashboards that can be created. Now think about financial reporting. With financial reporting, dashboards allow us to have the ability to improve the quality of estimates and valuations and also identify potential risk and opportunities. So here's a really cool dashboard that was created for a company. It can provide a lot of detail in one place. And the cool thing about this that we can't really tell from this slide is that this is all interactive. So if I were to click on the United States over in sales by country, it would highlight just the specific numbers related to the United States. If I wanted to dig deeper into the area of Brazil, I could dig deeper and see the sales related just to Brazil and the top 5 cities by sales in Brazil only. So it is interactive and allows companies to get a very quick dashboard of where their overall financials analysis statements are. Here's another great example. This is an example of a manufacturing company that sells products. This is sales analysis by month. You can see the sales with the profits. You can sort it by different regions. You could identify the component mix of the different products and see which are your top products. You can see where your customers are growing and what the profit are in each of those areas. Again, a fully interactive dashboard that gives you a snapshot of where the company is located. Here's another great example. This is a sales scorecard evaluating whether the company is losing money. Are they profitable or are they not profitable? You can see this is developed by showing the different products, the regions, and also the different states. Another great example of how companies are using dashboards. So now let's talk about tax. Tax is kind of late to the game when we think about dashboards and data analytics. So taxes does have the ability to do some interesting thing in data analytics. We could do tax dashboards that identify state and local tax issues or identifying different client situations. We can use it for tax modeling and also prescriptive analytics. So here's an example of a tax dashboard that I developed for a client that shows the client how their income and taxable deductions and tax rates have changed over a series of years, specifically related to the most recent tax law changes. So this is a great visual perspective of an individual's tax return. So now let's talk about 2 different software options that are out there for data analytics. We're going to talk about Power BI and we'll also talk about Tableau. So let's start by talking about Power BI. So Power BI is a Microsoft Office product, and it's a really natural next step for anyone that's familiar with Excel. That's the reason why I decided to become knowledgeable in Power BI, because I noticed how similar it was to Excel, and it was really easy for me to pick up basic understanding of Power BI. The other thing that's great is that Power BI for right now can be downloaded. The Power BI desktop version can be downloaded for free from the web. This is available to you as an instructor, it's available to students, and it's also available to anyone who has the Microsoft Office 365 package, which is the reason why we're starting to see a number of companies increase their use of Power BI over Tableau, because it doesn't require any additional cost for them. Now, the disadvantage, and the biggest disadvantage for Power BI, is that it cannot run on Mac operating systems unless you're running a parallel operating system. So if you have students who have Mac computers, they either have to do a workaround so that they can run the Power BI software on their Mac, or they have to go to a PC computer and work on Power BI. Now, the other thing is, if you're interested in sharing and publishing dashboards, that requires a purchase. It's about $10 per user per month. We don't do this in any of our cases, so it's not something you have to be concerned about with your students and in your classes. But if you were thinking from a corporate perspective and you wanted to share dashboards within your company, then you'd certainly need to purchase a user license. So now let's talk about Tableau. Tableau is also free or public and available to faculty and students. And it's the free version, though, is available with limited capabilities. Now, we say it's the most widely software by corporations currently, but I sure think Power BI is giving Tableau a run for their money right now. And I do suspect that we'll start to see Power BI overcome Tableau. The great thing, though, about Tableau is that it can run on Windows and Mac operating systems. And Tableau is very comparable to Power BI, and it does have some more capability in the advanced features than Power BI has. I think simply because it's been in development longer than Power BI has been. Now, there are disadvantages to Tableau, and that is if you decide to purchase the full version of Tableau, which you do not have to do in order to use our cases in your classes. But if you were a company and you were thinking about purchasing the full version, then that version is $70 a month, and so it's much more expensive than the Power BI version. So let's take a moment and talk about what we're going to do next.
So there might be blank space.
Until you hit the next slide, unless you hit pause. If you
Hey, Wendy, I think you're not on mute.
That's not me.
Oh, I don't know who that is. Is that Jennifer? Okay. Okay, I don't know what just happened there. So let's talk about what we're going to do next. So what we're going to do next is I am going to talk to you about our website, Accounting is Analytics. And our website, accountingisanalytics.com, is a website where we're using to introduce data analytics cases for your introductory accounting courses. So when you visit us on our website, you'll see in the upper part, you'll see a link that says Financial Accounting, Managerial Accounting, Analytics, and Emerging Technology. You'll be able to click on the home page to see a list of all of our available cases. You can also sort between financial and managerial by clicking on either financial or managerial tab. So please make note of our Accounting is Analytics website, because that's where you go to get all of the resources related to the case. So we will provide you with an instructor resource guide. You'll need to fill out the link on our website and we will send you out the instructor resource guide. Typically we send it out on Tuesdays, but we've had, as you can imagine, due to the situation we're in right now, there may be a delay on getting those instructor resource guides sent out, but we are working on getting them out to you as quickly as possible. If you don't receive the instructor resource guide in a timely manner, please check your spam folder and add drwendytietz@gmail.com to your safe sender. So now, if you get that instructor resource guide, what's included in that guide? Well, you get a one-page case for students. You get the instructor guide that provides you with all the information you need in order to deploy the case successfully in your class. You get instructions on how you can obtain Power BI and Tableau, and also how your students can attain Power BI and Tableau. You also get 4 different versions of the data set. The data set comes in Excel because that's what we use to load into Power BI. And so you have 4 versions. So you could do different versions for different semesters or different sections of your classes. We also provide you with tutorial videos. The tutorial videos are designed for your students to use, and they will teach your students everything you need to know about how to use Power BI and successfully complete the case. In addition, we provide the students and you with the slides so that if the student doesn't want to listen to the video, they can go through the instructions on the PDF slides. Then in addition, we provide you with a grading rubric. We give you 10 multiple choice questions and answers if you'd like to test them in that way. And we provide you with the solutions files. We have done these cases in our courses for multiple semesters. So we've developed a frequently asked question, and we've put that in our student guide. And so you also get a student guide that you can share with your students. And then we give you some check figures that you can also share with your students. And then lastly, if you would like to do a video case related to the projects, we also provide you with optional instructions on how to complete a video case. So that's all provided by going to our website, accountingisanalytics.com, clicking on the link and requesting the instructor's guide for our cases. So now let's talk about what is a sample of one of the cases that we have for Power BI. So I'm going to demonstrate the detail of the projects that we're going to provide to your students and the instructions that they get. So this is Ivy Corporation, and I'm only going to demonstrate Power BI. Next week we'll be doing Tableau, a standalone Tableau webinar, and so you can join us next week for the Tableau version of this. We're specifically going to be looking at job cost analysis. So now, if you would like to request the case online, remember you can get the data through that analytics website. So if you wanted to, after this video, if you'd like to go through the slides and practice on your own, you certainly can do that by requesting it online. So let's talk about Ivy Corporation. So Ivy Corporation is a company that manufactures outdoor and indoor furniture. It has several manufacturing facilities, and they're located in the United States and also in Canada. And each manufacturing facility makes its own unique products. The company uses a just-in-time inventory system. And so we have different sales representatives who can sell products from any of the manufacturing facility. So what we have done is we have developed Power BI skill builder videos for each of the cases. And we have a series of different videos that students watch in each of the different steps related to the case. So the first thing we do is we teach the students how to import the Excel file into Power BI. And you can see on this next series of slides, we walk them through step by step how to do this. So start by opening Power BI, click on Get Data, then go to Excel and click Connect. We also mentioned to the students that there's a lot of different types of data that files that can be imported into Power BI. Navigate to the data file that you want to open and click Open. Select the sheets that you want to import. Some Excel files contain multiple sheets, and so you only need to import the ones that are important. And then take a moment to save your project. And so we show the students how to save their projects. There's also a different way that you can get data in Power BI, so we show the students how the alternative way of getting data is by going through the Home tab in Power BI. Now, the next thing we do, because many students have never opened up Power BI before, we actually give students an overview of Power BI. And so what we're going to do is we talk about the 3 different modes of Power BI, and that is the report, data, and the relationship mode. And those are all listed on the left-hand side of the Power BI desktop. So the first mode is the report mode, and that's where you actually create all the visual information like those dashboards that I showed you earlier. It contains all the interactivity, the jazz of Power BI. It's where the tables and the graphs are. The middle mode is the data mode, and this contains the data that you imported. This is what looks to me the most like Excel, and this is where you see the data that you took from Excel and imported into Power BI. And then the last mode is the relationship mode. And the relationship mode, in my opinion, looks more like Access. And this is where we're able to take in different data points and linking them together. So in this example here, I have 2 different worksheets, a main worksheet and a variable cost percentage worksheet, and I've created a relationship between those 2 worksheets so that we can analyze some of the data between those 2 worksheets. So that provides you with a brief overview of Power BI. Now, the next thing we do is we show the students how to format data. So one of the interesting things about Power BI is that it automatically formats some data and it doesn't format other data. And so you have to teach the students how to format the data. And so to do that, you would go into the data mode so that you can see the table. And then in this area, we're going to format the variable cost column. And you can see how similar this is to Excel. So you select the column of data that you would like to format, and then you go up to the modeling tab. And in the modeling tab, there's going to be an area that looks so much like Excel, where you say, I want to format it. I want to format it by currency, and then I'm going to select English currency. And so that formats the data for us. We can also verify that the decimals are set correct, and that takes care of formatting the data. Now, the other thing that Power BI does is it changes how we want to analyze the data based upon some assumptions. And this is called summarization of data. And so when you import data into Power BI, it automatically not only formats data for you based upon potentially recognizing it as a currency or as a zip code or as a country code, but it also determines how other data is to be set up. Now, the problem with this is that it's not always correct. It makes assumptions, and those assumptions are not always correct. So the students have to be taught that they have to go through and make sure that their data is all set out to be formatted correctly. So here's what happens. So again, we're in the data mode. And in this case, we have an area where we have amount, customer number, facility, etc. So notice how in the fields area of this tab that some of the fields have a sigma symbol and some of them don't. And the sigma symbol means that when you're going to create a dashboard, it's going to add all those numbers together instead of leaving them as independent numbers. Well, that's fine for the amount column, but it doesn't work great for customer number and job number. We don't want the customer number to be all added together into a large total. And we don't want job number to be all added together into a large total. So we have to change the default of summarization for those fields. And so to do that, if we didn't do that, then notice what happens here. We take customer number, and instead of showing customer number 1001, 1002, 1003, instead it shows that we have this really random number for customer number, and it's not correct. So what we need to do is we instead need to show that the customer numbers are shown separately instead of being shown in the table. So to do that, we click on the data mode, and then we go through, we click on the field we want to modify, and then we go through and change the way the default summarization is set so that instead of being sum, we say that we don't want it to summarize. And now we can quickly see in the fields area that that sigma sign has gone away from those fields that I have created in the right way. So that's the first thing that we do with our cases is we get the data ready to be used to do the visualization. So the cleaning and the transforming of the data. Now we're ready to do what many students think is the fun part, the visualization part of it. So I'm going to show you one example of a visualization that we can do, and that's going to be a table visualization. A table visualization is the easiest type of visualizations to do in Power BI. And so what we do with table visualizations is we use the report mode. Remember, that's where we go to put all of our visualizations in Power BI. So the students will click on the report mode, and then they will, in that area on the right-hand side, there's an area called visualizations. And that's where all of the different visualizations are available. And the students are going to click on, or if you are doing it with us, you're going to click on the table visualization. It actually looks like a little Excel table. And so by doing that, it creates a format over here for you to build your table visualization. So then the next thing you have to do is you have to identify, well, what do I want that table to be filled with? And so you identify the fields that you want the table to be filled with. And so that in this table, I wanted the general ledger accounts developed, totaled by amount. And so I clicked on general ledger and I clicked on amount. And you'll notice that over here, you can see this small table here, and I've got my different general ledger accounts, and I've got the totals of those general ledger accounts. Now you can format the visualizations, and to do that you click on this paintbrush over here underneath visualizations. And so we teach the students how to go through and make those tables bigger, how to change the text size on them, how to change the color of them, all sorts of different things related to formatting the table visualizations. So that's a good example of one of the types of visualizations that we can have in Power BI. Now, what I'm going to do next is I am going to show you a slicer visualization, because a slicer visualization is a really cool example of a more advanced table visualization. So after I have a table created, so I've got this table created right here, which includes country, facility, general ledger, and amount. But if I want to be able to show specific information by only showing country, for example, I have to add a slicer visualization to that. So what we're going to do with the slicer visualization is it's going to allow us to sort a table that we've already created, such as by showing only country information. So I've created the table like I just showed you. We just showed you that step. And now I'm ready to add a slicer. So to add a slicer, I come back to my visualization area. I click on the slicer visualization, and now you notice I have a new format available over here, and that's where I can identify, well, what do I want to slice my data by? Some of you may have used slicers in Excel. It's a very similar process here. So I want to slice my data by country. So I select country over here in my field area. And now you can see I've populated my slicer with the two countries that we have in this data, Canada and the United States. Excuse me. So now what's really cool about that is now I can select one of the countries and be able to see the information change in the table. So by selecting Canada, you'll notice that all of the United States information went away. So this is a great example of the interactivity of using the Power BI dashboard, is that it's real-time filtering the information that you add into the dashboard. So now I want to show you one more example of a different type of table before we talk to you about the projects that we have. So now we're going to go to what we call a clustered column chart using a slicer visualization. A clustered column chart using a slicer visualization. So what do I mean when I say creating a clustered column chart? Well, suppose I want to show a chart that shows revenue generated by sales rep. So in order to do that, I have to create a clustered column chart, and I also have to use a slicer visualization. So instead of what we saw on the last table where we created a table and used a slicer, now I'm going to create a chart and add a slicer to it. So the first thing we show the students how to do is we show them how to create a clustered column chart. And a clustered column chart is simply a graph of the data that we're looking for. So in the visualizations area, you click on clustered column chart, and then in the field area, you select what you want to see in that chart. And I want to see sales rep and total amounts for each of the sales reps. So I select those field of data. Then you see that that's the chart that I see. It gives me my sales rep and it gives me my total amount for each of the sales rep. But the question that the client was asking me was how much, or the company was asking, was how much does each of those sales reps sell in each of the different areas? And so we have to filter the data to get to that answer. Now I do want to show you that as you move your mouse over the different columns, Power BI, the interactivity of it, allows you to see more information. So that's a really nice feature. So now let's modify that clustered column by adding a slicer visualization. So what I'm going to do is I want to see not only the total amount, but I wanted to see the total amount in each of the different general ledger categories so that I could see just revenue, not profit, but just revenue that was associated with that, with each of my sales reps. I could also do it by country. That's another great way that we could filter this data. But let's see how we can do it by revenue. So again, just like we did when we had a table, we're going to click the visualization slicer. So the slicer adds to the visualization that you've already created. So I want to slice it by my general ledger account. So I want to see how much how much revenue is associated with each of my sales reps. So I add the field general ledger, and then you can notice that as I select revenue, my sales rep chart changes so that it only shows the revenue related to that sales rep. So just another great example of how we can change the visualizations that we have. Now I want to show you one more quick example since we have a little bit of time. This one is a really cool example. This one right here is a slicer visualization where we had exactly what we just did. So we had our sales reps, but then I modified the column chart so that it actually included country in here also. So now we can see, oh, Sophie, she only sells in the United States. She doesn't sell in Canada at all. So just another example of how quick and easy it is to modify the charts that you create in Power BI. So now let's talk about the projects that we've developed for Power BI on our Accounting is Analytics website. So again, you're going to go to Accounting is Analytics to get access to all of our cases, not just our Power BI cases, but we have Power BI, Tableau, and Excel cases for you to use in your introductory accounting courses. The Power BI cases that we have 3 Power BI cases that are available. We have a cat insurance case that does sales analysis and works for both financial and managerial accounting. And then we have 2 cases that are coming. We have the Ivy Corporation case, the job cost analysis, that's available and ready for you for managerial accounting. And then we have the financial statement analysis case. This one is coming soon. It would have been sooner, but now we've had a bit of a delay due to other things going on in our world. But it is coming soon where you'll be able to do a financial statement analysis case using Jubilee, a veterinary supply company. Would be appropriate for financial or managerial accounting depending upon when you cover financial statement analysis. Now here's a list of all the cases we have. So you can see that we have several Excel cases. We have a transaction analysis and accounting equation that's only for Excel. Great for the first couple of chapters in financial accounting. We have the sales analysis in Excel, Power BI, and Tableau. I love to do this fixed asset analysis case for Hula Hut Burgers in Excel when I cover property, plant, and equipment in financial accounting. And then we've got Jubilee and Ivy in all 3 softwares, Excel, Power BI, and Tableau. So the question you may be thinking is, how do you use these cases? How can these cases be used? So our suggestion for your class strategy is that you discuss the general topic of data analytics with your students. And now for many of us, that's going to be an online discussion that we're going to have as we move into online teaching. But you can begin by talking about what is data analytics. You can share the information that I shared with you at the beginning of our lecture today and talk about the different ways accountants use data analytics and the different ways companies are using data analytics. Then we suggest you assign the data analytics projects as homework. And these projects are designed to be completely done without any instructor guidance. Because we provided you with all of the resources that you need to give to your students, the tutorial videos, the hand by walking through each step line by line on the PDF documents, your students can do this in a completely online environment outside of a traditional classroom. So have your students do the data analytics projects as part of one of their projects as homework. Then take a moment after they've submitted the assignments to go over the assignment either through an online video or if you still get to have class in a classroom discussion, and talk about how did the projects go? Were they excited about using the data analytics software? How could this be used to evaluate business decisions? So again, I want to share with you the resources that we have are all available on the accountingisanalytics.com website. Again, these projects have been developed by myself and my wonderful colleagues, Wendy Tietz at Kent State University and Jennifer Canis at University of South Florida. We encourage you to follow our blog so that you can get information about our new cases. In addition, because of the situation that we're facing right now in the United States, we are also doing some upcoming online teaching webinars. So yesterday we did a webinar about ideas for online student engagement. This morning we did a webinar about video recording options. Tomorrow we'll be doing a webinar about different polling options that are available for online classes. And on Friday we're doing a webinar about how to write on your screen when you're using video recording or using online webinar options. So you can sign up for these free webinars on our website, accountingisanalytics.com. You can also find the recordings for those webinars on our website, accountingisanalytics.com. And then lastly, I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in our Tableau specific cases, that's going to be next week. We're going to have a presentation that talks about only Tableau. And we will do that on Tuesday, March 24th. And Jennifer Canis is going to be leading that Tableau webinar and talking about specifically the Tableau software and our Tableau cases. So Wendy, I think we've got some time for questions, and I do think I saw a couple come through. So do we have any questions by anyone who's attended our webinar today?
I have one that I saw. Okay, so do you referenced this project? Do you have problems with students cheating?
Okay, that's a great question. So we tend not to worry so much about whether students are cheating on these projects. And the reason why is because, first off, we tend to use a variety of different data sets. So remember, we've got multiple data sets available for you to use in different sections. The other thing is that students tend to be really excited about these projects because they know that this is going to be something that employers are going to be looking for as a skill. And so we tend to see students interested in doing the project, so they don't tend to cheat because they're interested in it. And then also we've designed these projects so that if they watch the video or if they go through the step-by-step handouts that we provide, these are not challenging projects for students to complete. So we don't see them trying to collaborate with their classmates because they can't figure the answer out.
Okay, so one other thing I wanted to mention that I hadn't told you yet, Tracy, was our school now has Power BI in Office 365. The license includes Power BI Online, which means it's browser-based, which means it does not matter. So I think Microsoft is rolling out the web-based Power BI across. So if your school has Office 365, it's worth asking if your students have the Power BI license, because then that takes away the whole issue of if they have a Mac or they have Windows, but we're just starting to see that now.
That is awesome, Wendy. I had not heard that from you yet, so that's really cool. I will definitely have to check that out at ACC because, you know, what I do right now is I assign 3 data analytics projects in my financial accounting course. The first one is an Excel project, and then the second one, the students, the second version of the project, the students get to choose whether they want to do Power BI or Tableau. And so I have my students, if they can't use Power BI, then they have to use Tableau. And then I give extra credit if they want to try to work a third version of the project, and they can either do it by doing the other software or doing a different project with one of the other versions. So that's how I've overcome it right now. But if my students will be able to now have access to the online version of Power BI, that's going to be really great.
Yeah, and I don't know how widespread it was. I just learned about it the day before our school was closed down. So it's just, you know, other things have been on our mind lately, and that's why I forgot to tell you. But my students this semester, before we found this out, I instructed them to use the parallel operating system and gave them links to Apple Bootcamp instructions and etc. I also gave them the hours for the computer lab and told them they could go there to do it. And then I let them drop their lowest project out of 8. So then they could drop whichever one they didn't. But I'm thinking, since they can do Power BI web-based, I think that just solved that final thing. Also, I was reading earlier this week that I believe Power BI is the #1 business analytics software now. So
Oh,
you were
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And Tableau is still widely used, but Tableau last year was purchased by Salesforce. So they've got a little bit different emphasis now. Still a great, awesome product, but I think we're going to see more and more advancement with Power BI, especially tied in with the whole Teams environment.
Yeah, you know, some of the faculty that are joining us today, Wendy, may be wondering how we grade these assignments. And, you know, some of you who know us know that Wendy and I have a very different type of classroom experience. So my class that I assign these in is an online class, and I have 24 students. And so my students are required to turn the assignment in. So they actually turn in their Power BI file. And then they also are required to answer multiple choice questions related to the Power BI assignment. And so I auto grade the multiple choice questions, and then I go through and hand grade using the rubric the Power BI project. But I know, Wendy, you do something very different because you have really large classes.
Yes, I create multiple choice questions for that. So I ask them, where on this particular part of the project, what's this number? So they have to do the project, and then they use their file to answer the questions. And that's how I get it around it. I do have a bank of questions that I've developed so that I can pool them, so not every student has the same question. But that seems to work reasonably well with limited resources, for sure. And I just want to point out, oh, we have another question. Is it an individual or group project? Mine are all individual. How about yours, Tracy?
Me too. Mine are all individual also. So especially because my class is online, so it's, you know, group projects create a little more difficulty, especially related to software. So mine is all individual. But you know, you certainly could do these projects in a group environment if you wanted to. But the projects, you know, typically it takes less than an hour for students to complete these projects. And as I said before, you know, if they go through and watch the videos or go through the step-by-step instructions that we give them, these projects are not overly challenging. We want them to have a good experience of using Power BI for the first time so that they're interested in doing some more data analytics and understanding how it influences businesses. So I wouldn't choose to do it in a group environment, but you certainly could do that.
Yeah, and I do want to add too, Jennifer is camera shy right now, so I'm going to speak for her. She was saying to remind everyone she has a Tableau webinar next week, and she wants to make sure we understand that it is not a secondary software. And I didn't mean to imply that at all.
Thanks,
but
Wendy.
Jennifer, she also has a video assignment with hers. So she has her students, whether they do Power BI or Tableau, she has them do a video after they complete it where they go through and talk about the trends they're seeing and what that means to them. So she goes another step further, having students talk about what they're seeing. So that's just another approach that people can do. So are you seeing, I don't see any other questions right now, Tracy?
I think I don't see any other questions. So again, let me go back to that slide that has where you can go to get a copy of the slides today. So you can go to that tiny URL, AIA-Power BI, to get access to a copy of our slides, and also access to our recording is available on our website, accountingisanalytics.com. I hope that you guys will join Jennifer and Wendy and I next week when we talk about Tableau. So you can see how Tableau differs from Power BI, but is Jennifer still a powerful tool to be used in the data analytics arena? So again, if I don't see any more questions, which I don't think we have any, thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks a lot. And please utilize these cases and projects in your introductory accounting courses. Our students have given us great feedback on these projects, and they all enjoy doing them. They really see the value in learning these new softwares so that they can start talking to potential employers about the skills that they have. So thanks a lot. Have a great afternoon.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone. Did you stop recording?